Today we'll talk about design thinking and the barriers and the roadblocks and the opportunity we found in the development of design thinking and design management in a company like 3M. And we'll talk also about the profile of the design thinker, who he is, if he belongs to the design community, or if eventually doesn't belong just to the design community. 3M will be the frame of reference, so very quickly, it's not a presentation about 3M, very quickly I will give you this frame of reference. 3M is a company from Minnesota, kind of conservative company, part of the Dow Jones Stock Exchange, so with a lot of pressure from the business analysts to deliver results actually every quarter, every day, every week. A company that is an American company dealing with a big growth at international level, so moving from being American-centric to be worldwide-centric and localized, with research center all around the world, $24 billion size, a company based on innovation tech-driven. We have about 40 different technology platforms that go from molding to microreplication to touch screen, so a big, broad variety of different technologies that we mix with 6 different business units, very different from each other. So we are competing a variety of different kind of markets under the 3M brand that is the umbrella, and a variety of what we call strategic brands that we have in different markets. In different regions of the world, some is more renowned than the other. Crossing the markets and the technology, we have a portfolio of about 75,000 products. So a huge complexity for the company to manage and for the design team to work with, and a very exciting situation and scenario. A company renowned to be an innovative company, a company renowned to be an innovative company driven by technology, and a company renowned to be also a very entrepreneurial company. There are many stories and business cases about 3M. One of these is about the 50% rule that we have. Each of us have 50% of our time to do whatever we want with the resources and the technology of the company. And during the Six Sigma age, so between 2000 and 2006, more or less, when we had Jim McNerney from GE becoming the CEO of 3M, this rule was, let's say, put in the background. It was not, at the core of our DNA anymore. And probably our innovation engine has been slowed down by this kind of approach. In 2006, with the arrival of George Buckley, our new CEO, the 50% rule came back. And today we are managing the blending between a Six Sigma approach, a productivity approach that is still very important in the economy today, together with trying to find back our roots, the DNA of innovation, and try to combine the two approaches, productivity and innovation, together in the new global scenario. And this is a big challenge. Design is one of the new variables that we are introducing in this challenge. We're talking about Post-it. Post-it, I think, is the output of a design thinking approach, but probably more of a visceral design thinking approach, not systematic, not strategic, not part of the overall organization of the corporation. So what 3M is trying to do today is to leverage design among different other variables and forces and drivers inside the company to make the kind of Post-it innovation more strategic, more systematic, more consistent, eventually sometimes more controllable inside the process of innovation of the company. Everything started in 2002. I was hired at the time, and I was the only designer in the organization. And the first expectation from many people inside the company was, let's try to deliver new, beautiful products for the consumer market in Europe, because Europeans are very sensitive to design, so we need to somehow leverage the design. Few people inside the company, was my mission and the mission of few people at the top of the company at the time, already knew that the real mission, the dream maybe, was to create a new design culture in the corporation as a driver for growth and for innovation at 3M. It was not easy. I was Italian, I was trendy, I was stylish, I was young, I was not part of the Minnesota culture. Inside the company, super successful, based on technology with thousands and thousands of scientists around the world, and especially in Minnesota. A company that is American. This is how Americans look at Italy is not even here, not even Denmark. So it was not easy. And today, you know, we talk about difficulties and failure or roadblocks. Today, I wanna share with you what have been those roadblocks inside this journey, and that we have been trying to overcome those roadblocks. Today, we have a team. I just moved to the United States. We have a team in the US, one in Milan, one in Shanghai, one in Tokyo. We are hiring in all of this region, and we are going to build in 2011 also design center in Brazil and Mexico. Design is one of the key drivers of the corporation, is in the playbook of the corporation, is one of the fourth drivers for innovation and growth. So many things happen in these 8 years, many things. Usually I use this model for my interpretation of reality in general, and therefore also for this journey of design inside the company, is the communication model. Every human being is, by the very fact that exists, is communicating. So in the case of design, as a discipline, as a function, we had to communicate to change the culture. The sender was the design team. The message was the content, what design is, what design thinking is, what design management is. The receiver was the company. We'll see in detail what I mean with the company. You can address the kind of message in different kind of languages, with different kind of media and channels in a context, and there are always noises. Don't be frustrated by having noises, roadblocks in the process, because it's part of the process of communication. So if that's the case, the code and the language and the receiver. This is one of the first charts that I designed as soon as I joined the company, to say right away to the corporation, design is not at the end of the R&D process to do some styling. Design is supposed to be in connection and in communication with all the different functions of the company. And if that's the case, a design team, we need to understand what is the right language, the right code to communicate in different way, in a relevant way. Relevance is really the key word, to the different functions, in order to create confidence in this function. Because today, for instance, 8 years away from there, we have many people inside a different part of the organization. They really want to use design, but they need confidence because they are completely out of their comfort zone. So they search a design leader that can create a confidence in them, because they're going to do something different from what they've been doing for the past 20 years. They're going to risk their own career, their family, the education of the kids. So they need somehow experts that can help them embracing something that is new in a teamwork way, in a collaborative way. But so we need really to understand how to communicate in the proper way in order to create relevance and confidence inside the target audience we're addressing. The context. The context is the culture of the company. In this case, the culture of 3M, the culture of any company, is very, very important to understand where we are working in. And this context has been creating 3 macro roadblocks for design at the time. The first one is what I define as the misunderstanding about the meaning of design. And the typical feedback was, we don't need it. We don't need Italian or European to tell us how to do design. And anyway, we don't need design. We are successful. We don't need, we can leverage technology. Why do we need design to do innovation in a different way? The second was the not invented here syndrome. It's a syndrome of many corporations. P&G, A.G. Lafley, we used to talk always about this. We can do it ourselves. We don't need design, we don't need external consultant, we don't need other function, we can do it ourselves. The third one is the reluctance to change. The typical answer is, oh, it's too complicated, it's too expensive, it's too much additional work. There was always a problem. And this is part of the very nature of human beings. Each of us, each human being is reluctant to change, always. Imagine when you need to change your job, for instance. When do you do this? When your boss, you don't get along with your boss anymore, or you don't like the company anymore, or there is a problem, or you risk to be laid off. I mean, in that case, to change is so easy. You immediately start to search something to change. Then you have also, the situation where you're absolutely changing when you risk your life. When you risk your life, I don't know, you are trapped at the end of, on the bottom of the sea with your leg. You're ready to cut your leg, not to risk your life. So crisis is a big driver for change. And by the way, this is an opportunity after the big crisis that we just had. Many companies are today trying to change, and they're finding design thinking, design management, and design eventually a driver for this change. So this is a positive situation from that perspective. There is also another situation when human beings change, is when they have a vision for a better status. I mean, you can change your job because you understand that eventually there is another opportunity to grow your skill set or to grow in your career. But in that case, it's more difficult. Anyway, you have more doubt. You think twice. I mean, what I'm going to lose? So in that case, inside the corporation you need a strong leader that is willing to risk and to drive this change with higher risk than when you have a crisis. So these are the three different roadblocks, macro roadblocks we have been identifying. The messages we have been crafting to fight those kind of roadblocks have been misunderstanding about the meaning of design. Well, let's try to define design. And let's try to define the value in a relevant way for the different target audience we have. The not invented here syndrome, well, let's build credibility and respect. Let's make ourselves necessary and complementary to them. So at the beginning, the R&D community was actually my worst enemy, because they were doing design before I arrived and before my team arrived. So today, they are my best enemy. Sorry, they're my best friends. This is lapsus Freudiano, I say. We are being really able to create the right partnership, and we are really complementary. And the third one, reluctance to change, well, let's try to create a smooth integration into of the design variable into the culture of the company. Let's try to get back the risk of management culture that was typical of 3M in the past and is typical of 3M today. So let's try to not be that variable, completely crazy, uncontrollable, that even if it's very interesting, is impossible to be leveraged in the proper way to create real value for a corporation. So let's try to focus, first of all, on these two, credibility and integration. I divided this journey in two phases. The first one that I call the fluidification phase, the short-term one, and the one where you really need to deliver value right away, else they fire you. So in the first year. And the second one is what I call, we'll see later, the consolidation phase. So short-term fluidification phase. First of all, we need to bring inside the company new, strong design know-how. This disruptive element, the bottom-up approach, we need designers that know what design is, that know what design management is. So you need a strong know-how. It's not enough to be a designer to be a good design manager. We were talking about education. Here, education in schools and out of schools is really, really, really relevant. I saw design management initiative of corporation failing because of the wrong people leading those initiatives. The second is identify and leverage strong internal sponsors. And this is really, really important. It's about the top management. We go nowhere if we don't have either the CEO or somebody anyway up there that can drive the change. And this is the case, in any design company or innovative company or any company has been trying to change the culture radically, you see this kind of approach. Italian companies from Adriano Olivetti, Ernesto Gismondi in Artemide, Alberto Alessi, Steve Jobs in Apple, I mean, A.G. Lafley, I could name many of them, but it's really about having that top-down approach. It's not that always happening. When it's not happening, you need anyway to try to create awareness about the value of design more and more on the top of the company and try step by step to arrive to the top. But the top really need to drive it because it need to defend you in the moment where the company will reject what you're doing because it's different than what they always did. The second is, in terms of sponsorship, find what I call the co-conspirators. So it's not anymore the top, but it's the middle management level. And in my case, it was those marketing or R&D managers that were managing projects and were willing, even if they didn't understand complete design, to bet on design, to create best practices early on that we could share with the rest of the company. When you start to build success cases, then it's very easy to exponentially grow that kind of approach when you start to have specific concrete cases. So you need this kind of people, and they need to be the right people. So, and probably at the beginning you won't find so many of them. So you need to identify them and then work with them right away as soon as possible. The third point is external endorsement. So having external people, external entities endorsing what you're talking about, what you're doing. Because anyway, every time you are inside a corporation, you are part of the corporation. So if you start to have endorsers outside that are endorsing what you are saying, your message becomes by far more relevant. Example, I was in Italy in a multinational corporation working for the US. So my first endorsers were Italian companies. Companies that were very successful. I talk about design firm, of course. They were very successful with other customers. So the message was, if they're going to fail with us, whose fault is if they are successful with other customers? After that, we have been evolving to a more global partnership with a variety of firms. Here, we still talk about design firms, but then is also probably the most powerful one are the non-designers that are talking about designers and supporting design. So a variety of different firms or media or anyway entities that are strongly supporting the design message. One of my strongest endorsers is Tom Peters or Business Week as a publication or Fast Company. So those non-designers that are actually endorsing the message we are delivering as design community inside the company. And then the customer. This is an event we did in Target a few years ago. That was the CEO of Target at the time. Target is one of the biggest retailer in the United States that's been gaining a lot of market share out of Walmart, that is the biggest in the world, through design. So what we did was a big event in Target showing our vision, showing where we wanted to go with design, showing both products and concept, and the feedback of the CEO of Target, the feedback of all the company to that presentation. We had our CEO there, their CEO there, all our vice president, their vice president. This, by the way, was possible because of the great relation there is between 3M and Target. The feedback has been fantastic. We had, this is in their, was in their headquarters. We had thousands of employees of Target in line to go visit the exhibit we did. We were even, presenting toilet brushes, like they were pieces of museum. Look at the faces of these people. But the point was really communicating. Everybody talks about storytelling, right? Prototyping experiences, communicating the vision in a very concrete and engaging way with our customers and having our customers endorsing what we're doing. That has been very, very powerful. And this is one of the examples of the different media and channel communication. In that case, the media was an event in our customer location. A media could be a publication, could be, packaging, could be all kinds of things. The fourth variable is integration into the existing process. So a lot of people will think that design is very cool, is very good, is very relevant, but then there is always the risk that you cannot integrate it and leverage it in the proper way. So you're going to spend a lot of money, put a lot of resources in your corporation, and maybe you are not able to use it effectively. So, at the time, Six Sigma was the keyword inside our corporation. And every time a designer hears the word Six Sigma, it's like allergic. What we tried to do was actually to embrace Six Sigma, show how you could use design thinking inside the Six Sigma framework. So we're not fighting Six Sigma. We're saying, let's shake hands. Let's try to work together. We are sure that inside a frame of reference, we can embrace design thinking. And I could talk 2 hours about this, but this has been